Barbara Walters.
I drank. I smoked. I did drugs. I had sex with people. I did anything I could to get the shame out of my life.
Anne Heche, the fragile and beautiful actress who fell in love with Ellen DeGeneres.
And you wrote in your book it was the best sex you ever had.
Best sex I'd ever had.
Better than with any man?
Anne Heche, married to this man just last weekend. A complicated woman.
Anne, are you crazy?
I believed I was from another planet. I think I was insane.
Kids. So demanding, so exhausting.
She didn't give me no
No curse words.
dumbass.
Come on, bus.
Some parents can't wait to get to work.
So that's your place to run from your children, really.
Yes, yes.
The Great Escape. The safety police are at it again.
And now they're moving to outlaw these.
Too much of a distraction, they say.
Maybe we should outlaw walking and chewing gum.
I'm John Stossel, and I say, give me a break.
2020 begins in 60 seconds. And now, from Times Square in New York, Barbara Walters.
Good evening. Welcome to the first night of 2020 on Wednesday. Tonight, a Hollywood star who says she was insane for 31 years and no one knew. Her name is Anne Heche, and you may recognize her from TV or movies, but you probably know her best for her very public love affair with Ellen DeGeneres. This past Saturday, Anne Heche made news again when she married a man named Coleman Laffoon. But Anne's romances are just a part of the incredible story she tells you. And you will learn why, in all seriousness, Anne Heche titles her just published autobiography, Call Me Crazy.
Call Me Crazy by me.
As Anne Heche records her book on tape, an extraordinary story unfolds of abuse, tragedy, and insanity.
I stood at the top of the staircase. My breath was silent as I inhaled, closed my eyes, held out my arms, and leapt.
Anne, are you crazy?
I'm not crazy now. I lived a crazy life. I was raised in a crazy family, and it took me 31 years to get the crazy out of me.
You wrote in your book that you were insane. Those were your words, insane, for 31 years. You're 32 now.
I had another personality. I had a fantasy world that I escaped to. I called my other personality Celestia. I called the other world that I created for myself the fourth dimension. I believed I was from that world. I believed I was from another planet. I think I was insane.
We had just begun our interview,
God.
the first time Anne has talked about her life when she was overcome with emotion. Take your time. All right? You want some water? Can we start with your childhood?
Yep.
We'll do it together, okay? Let me show you a picture.
Sure.
This is a family picture. It's a lovely picture, all of these smiling, attractive people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
On the surface, the Heche family was the epitome of the perfect American family. Deeply religious, 4 blonde-haired, blue-eyed children, a smiling mother, and a father in charge of the church choir. When you look at this, what do you see?
A bunch of lies. That family is a lying family.
The image was far from the reality. Don Heche, the choir director, was, according to Anne, an abusive father, chronically unemployed and leading a bizarre double life.
At that time, my father had AIDS. We were almost homeless. About a month before we became homeless, we took that picture. We were a disaster.
How can a mother not know that her child, her young baby girl, is being raped by her husband? How can a mother not know? When does a mother break the rules?
Any abuse is horrifying, but this was something very different. You talk about it in your book. Can you talk about it now?
Sure. I can tell you what I know.
Okay.
I believe I was sexually abused by my father from the time I was a very young girl, actually before I could speak, up until the time I was 12.
How did he abuse you?
In my memory,
Yes.
he raped me. He stuck his in my mouth. He fondled me. He put me on all fours and had sex with me.
When you were a toddler?
In my memory, yes. My father would always undress in front of me, beckon me to bed as if I was his lover. I remember entering the bed with him many times.
Did your mother know?
I can't say whether or not my mother knew.
You never told her?
I did not tell her until I was in my 20s. I had herpes from the time I was a very young girl.
Because he was entering your mouth?
Yes, that's my belief. I remember being 6 years old and saying, "Mommy, what's on my face?"
You had a rash?
I had sores. I had welts on my nose and on my lips.
When you talk about your father abusing you, you say, "In my memory." Does that mean that there's a possibility that it didn't happen?
I think it's always hard for children to talk about abuse because it is only memory. But I didn't carry around a tape recorder. I didn't chisel anything in stone. And I think that's part of why people don't talk about abuse, because anybody can look and say, "Well, how do you know for sure?" And it's one of the most painful things about it. You don't.
There's a place for us, a time and place for us. Somehow, someday, somewhere.
When you were 10, and your father had no money, and you were kicked out of the final home, because there were many homes that your family lived in.
Right. We got home from school. We had been boarded out of our last house. We had yellow tape on the door saying, "Keep out, no admittance." And we were homeless.
The Heche family spent 2 years living with neighbors. Finally, Anne's mother threw her father out. Free of his wife and children, Don Heche moved to New York. The family was shocked when they realized that their church-going father was wildly, flamboyantly gay. It was the 80s, and Don Heche was embracing the unfettered nightlife and unprotected sex of the times.
Sometimes we would be walking arm in arm, and he would collapse on the curb, unable to get a breath. He would promise me that nothing was wrong, and then he'd disappear for hours at a time. Dad died on March 4th, 1983. He was one of the first cases of AIDS diagnosed in the United States.
When you learned that your father had AIDS, did you think, "I might have AIDS"?
Absolutely. But I thought I was going to die.
The illusion was no more. The perfect family had collapsed, and Anne would spend the next 20 years in a tortured search.
I think everything I've done in all my insanity was trying to get my parents to love me. My father loved movie stars. I decided I needed to become famous to get his love. My mother loved Jesus. That was her thing. So I wanted to become Jesus Christ. I wanted to save the world to get her love. I went to the utmost of extremes.
A movie star to get your father to love you, Jesus Christ to get your mother to love you.
Absolutely. It was a race. I had them neck and neck. I would do anything I possibly could, just...
You wrote, "Not getting love was what drove me crazy." Many people don't get love, but they don't go insane.
I think there are different levels of insanity. I did a lot of things in my life to get away from what had happened to me. I drank. I smoked. I did drugs. I had sex with people. I did anything I could to get the shame out of my life.
At the same time that all of this is happening, you got a job in a soap opera. You were in another world. There, you played twins.
acting was a way for me to express myself. I was able to express sweet, tender, kind, loving emotions as Marley, and I was able to be the bad girl, sexy, mean and nasty Vicky on this. It was everything that I was and everything that I was never allowed to be. I loved that job.
But as Heche's career began to flourish, she began to feel increasingly disconnected. Still haunted by the specter of her past, she turned to therapy. By the time she was 25, her personality had begun to fragment, shattering into moments of madness. You, Anne Heche, think you are Jesus, and you take the name Celestia. Did you really think you were Jesus?
I told my mother at about the 7th year of therapy that I had been abused sexually by my father. And she hung up the phone on me. To have gone through so much work to heal myself and have my mother not acknowledge in any way that she was sorry for what had happened to me broke my heart. And in that moment, I think I split off from myself. So Anne, this girl who had just confronted her mother, shrunk, and out came Celestia, where I was literally thrown to the ground, and I am not kidding, in New York City, thrown to the ground and heard the voice of God and thought I was absolutely insane. I had no idea what to do. I was existing as two people.
So even though you thought you were Jesus or Celestia, you also at the same time knew this was an aberration.
Absolutely. That's the thing about going crazy. You are absolutely aware, at least I was, that I was Anne Heche, an actress. I had friends. There were people who would think I was crazy if I was ever going to talk about this. And at the same time, I'm hearing God talk to me saying, you are basically from heaven.
When 2020 returns.
I spoke a different language that God and I spoke.
Can you still remember that language you spoke?
I was, in my mind, learning it from God.
Next.
Anne Heche has always been unpredictable. And as we continue, you will hear about her sensational love affair with Ellen DeGeneres and her romance before that with Steve Martin. But first, her secret world in which she became Celestia, endowed with special powers and a direct line to God. How did it manifest itself? What were your powers? What did you see in yourself?
Wow. So many different things. What could I do when I was Celestia? I spoke a different language. I spoke a different language that God and I spoke together. I could, you name it, I could do it. I could see into the future. I could heal people.
Can you still remember that language you spoke?
Of course.
Can you do any of it?
Sure. What would you like me to say?
I don't know. Anything.
Well, the word for God, okay, a lot of it is prayer. The word for God in my language was called kines. Akines, akaforka tunadon. It is a good fortune, istadon, to be here.
And that's a language you never
I don't know where it came from.
learned, not even know what it means.
I was, in my mind, learning it from God.
Anne says she was in the grip of voices and visions almost every waking moment for nearly 7 years. As she wrestled with those demons, she managed almost unimaginably to thrive professionally. By 1995, she had begun to star in major movies. Here you are, this other life. You're acting, you're seeing friends, you're very popular.
Yeah, that was an incredible juggle, I have to say. I mean, I would work, I would do normal things. I did Wag the Dog. I was meeting the most incredible actors of my life. I couldn't believe where my career was going. And then I would go into my trailer and have to write down messages that I believed I was hearing from God about love.
You go in your trailer and you're a whole other person. You close the door and you're a whole other, you're Jesus.
I'm Celestia.
Well, Celestia is also Jesus?
No, Celestia, I was told, was the reincarnation of God here.
Now, through all of this, for many years, you have a great many sexual relations.
Yes.
And you've said a child of abuse thinks love is tied up with sex.
Absolutely.
A child of abuse knows no boundaries. A child of abuse wants to find love with whomever they can. A child of abuse thinks that love is bonded to sex.
The child of abuse thought she'd found love with actor-comedian Steve Martin. She also found a father figure. Martin was 30 years older. You shared 2 years with Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Why did the relationship break up?
I wanted love of an older man. I wanted comfort. I wanted humor. I wanted all of the things that he offered. And so why did we break up? There wasn't anything wrong with Steve. It was just that it was not what I wanted to commit my life to.
Let's go to a night that changed your life. 1997, Academy Award night. You go to a big party given by Vanity Fair magazine. Tell me about that night.
I saw the most ravishing woman I had ever seen in my life standing across the room. Her name was Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen.
She was radiating. I think at certain times in people's lives, you just radiate an energy and a glow of fabulousness, and that was her. I had never seen anybody so lit up.
It was just a week before Ellen would tell the world she was gay.
And we started a relationship. I think part of that was Ellen represented everything that my father never was. She was free. She owned her sexuality. I had connected everything with my father and my abuse to the fact that he was not allowed to be the homosexual that he was. And that to me was stunning.
Had you ever been with a woman before sexually?
No.
You went home with Ellen that night.
That night.
And you wrote in your book it was the best sex you ever had.
No kidding. Up until that point, that was the best sex I'd ever had.
Better than with any man?
Yep.
Why?
I felt cared for, loved on a sexual level that I had not before with a man. I felt free to express a part of me that I had not been able to express with a man. I felt sensual and sexual in a way I hadn't before. Maybe I was embracing some of my masculine side, and I enjoyed that, and so did she, I think. But it was a wonderful connection. It was just a wonderful connection.
When 2020 continues,
I finally feel like I'm happy.
With tears in your eyes?
It's been such a journey, you know?
next.
Who is the new man Anne Heche just married? You'll find out, and we have something to tell you about the newlyweds that is not in her book and not in the news, although it will be tomorrow. But first, Anne Heche's mind and her love affair with Ellen DeGeneres would reach the breaking point.
She is my hero and the bravest person I know. My wife, Anne Heche.
In one blinding moment, Anne Heche and Ellen DeGeneres became the flashpoint for homosexuality in America. Did you think of the consequences?
Ellen tried to make me think of the consequences. I was a person who had lived a life and grew up in a family of lies. I was not going to lie. I had fallen in love with a woman, and that was okay with me. I was not going to be the one who hid because I was afraid of losing my career.
Shortly after meeting Ellen, Anne was cast in the romantic film 6 Days and 7 Nights, but she believes it was only because co-star Harrison Ford stood up for her. Soon, both Anne and Ellen would be seen by Hollywood in only one role, as gay America's poster children, a role that would hurt them professionally and personally. Most people know that at that time, Ellen was having a very difficult time with her career. Her show had gone off the air, so she was a very, at that point, I would assume, unhappy woman.
Yes, she was. I did anything I could to create a career for myself that wouldn't threaten her or make her worried about a part of her life that I wanted her to know was secure, which was me.
Just about a year ago, on August 19th, you and Ellen broke up. Why?
How do you put into a sentence why you break up with somebody? We had gotten to the point where we were not happy together anymore. We had become isolated from the world together. I am a person who loves people, who loves being in the world, who loves acting. All of these things that I didn't have, and I wanted them back. And I believe that threatened her.
Do you have any relationship with Ellen today?
No.
Are you friends?
No, I would not say we are friends now.
Do you talk?
Nope.
Throughout this whole time, you were still Celestia.
Yes.
Did Ellen know?
Oh, yes.
As close as you were, she did know you were Celestia.
Ellen knew everything.
What did she think?
That I was crazy.
And you're crazy, but I love you?
You're crazy, but I love you.
So it's like a small thing. Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah, don't do that. You do what? You speak to the dead? Another thing that I thought I could do in my insanity. Speak to spirits, hear voices. Oh, you do that? Oh, but I love you. Just be quiet about it.
Fresno, 2000. Anne, I was flat out and strapped on a gurney in an all-white, kind of cramped room that seemed less than glorious as a stopping point on my way toward heaven. I wondered if it was going to be announced on TV or a loudspeaker or something. She has arrived! This spaceship is on its way! Gather in Fresno, just off the freeway!
What was going on?
I told you I thought Celestia was from another planet called the fourth dimension. I escaped to the fourth dimension.
On August 20th, 2000, a day after she and Ellen broke up, a dazed and confused Anne Heche got in her car and drove 5 hours across the bleak landscape from Los Angeles to Fresno. The episode made headlines. An incoherent movie star wandering door to door in a remote part of California, ending up in a stranger's backyard. No one ever knew what propelled Heche across the desert until today.
Fresno was the culmination of a journey, of a world that I thought I needed to escape to in order to find love. So in the pain, I think what triggered the pain of my breakup with Ellen was a bottoming out of, there's no love here. I'm gonna go get love.
Were you on ecstasy? Is that what caused this?
I have done drugs in my life. I'm not a consistent drug user, and I never was with ecstasy either. I was told to go to a place where I would meet a spaceship. I was told in order to get on the spaceship that I would have to take a hit of ecstasy. Again, a voice. All of this justification for the end of this journey. I did go to a house. I did ask people to join me. I did go to the hospital.
Heche spent one night strapped to a gurney in the psychiatric unit of a Fresno hospital. Anne.
Yes.
The next day, your manager, Lauren Lloyd, and her friend, Kathy, who was your friend, come to see you in this hospital. And said, in effect, come back to us. We care about you. We love you. And like that, you were okay? 31 years of what you call insanity, and in that one day, you were fine?
Here's the thing. I always thought you had to leave the world to get love. And I was being shown that you could stay in the world and have love. I love my life. I just didn't like the life I was raised in, but I love my life, and I chose to keep it.
This has been just a year.
1 year, almost to the day.
How are you?
awesome. Sane. I'm here. I could not be more elated with my life.
You know, Anne, there are some doctors or therapists who might diagnose this as a form of mental illness, as split personality, schizophrenia, bipolar. Mm-hmm. Does any of this apply to you?
I don't believe so. I mean, the most interesting thing is that I went to therapists for years. It's amazing what you can hide.
So you went to these therapists, told them all about your life, told them all about the abuse that your father had committed, told them about your mother, and never said, by the way,
I have another personality.
Yeah, by the way, I hear voices. You never did that.
No. I was very afraid of what people would think of me. Very afraid.
Yeah, they'd think you were crazy.
Absolutely.
The therapist would think you were crazy.
Sure.
Are you on medication today?
No.
Do you still have moments when God speaks to you?
No.
Do you still talk in another language?
Oh, no.
You are all...
I'm all here.
You're all here.
Oh, yes.
But Heche continues to be full of surprises and transformations. This past weekend, she got married to cameraman Coley LaFoon. They seem to be wildly in love. She met Coley while making a documentary about Ellen, but she insists he had nothing to do with their breakup. Was Coley at all worried about your sexuality? Here he'd been seeing you with Ellen.
He's an extraordinary guy. He's one of the few people I've ever met who actually embraces the same notion about sexuality that I do. Which is that you love who you love. You fall in love with a person, not a sex. And he was not threatened by it at all because he understood that I could love a woman.
Do you think you could love a woman again?
Well, hopefully I won't, because I plan to be with Coley for the rest of my life. Although people asked me this question when I was with Ellen. Well, hypothetically, if you broke up, who would you be with, a man or a woman? And I said, I can't answer that question.
When people ask you, well, I'll ask you, do you consider yourself bisexual?
I think that's a comfortable label. I do not label myself bisexual, nor do I label myself straight or gay.
Marriage. 1 year after this breakdown, 1 year after Ellen. Why so soon?
I don't think there's any other explanation except that it felt right. I want to start a family. Coley wants to start a family.
So you're going to start a family as soon as possible?
Well, I hope so. I love
you. Are not pregnant now?
No, you'll be the first to know.
And so I was. Anne Heche called me just the other day to tell me she is 3 months pregnant and delighted about it. She asked me to keep it a secret until tonight. And that's not the only new role she will have. Okay, you have a television show in the works.
Yes, I have just made a deal with Warner Brothers to develop a show, a humorous show, I should say, a funny show. My life turned around this year, and the joy that I've experienced, I want it to come out of me in a show, too, because I finally feel like I'm happy.
With tears in your eyes?
It's been such a journey, you know?
I wrote this book to say goodbye once and for all to my story of shame and embrace my life choice of love. The fact that there are people hearing my story is the icing on the most beautiful cake in the world that I imagine says, "Happy freedom, Anne. You have made it to the other side."
We wish Anne and Coley every happiness. And one more note, we tried to contact Anne's mother for her reaction to her daughter's statements, and just yesterday we heard from Anne's sister, who told us the family would be watching tonight and would post their response on the internet. And finally, if you would like to talk with Anne Heche herself, she will be available live online tomorrow. Log on to abcnews.com for details. And Anne Heche will also be on The View this Friday. We'll be right back.
When we return.
What is your feeling when you walk out of the house and head to work, finally?
It's a feeling of relief. Like, I can't wait to get to work.
Next.
I'm a working mother, as are many of my colleagues here at ABC, and this next story had all of us arguing because it raises the question, if your life at the office is easier and more manageable than staying home raising the kids, do we have a problem? Lynn Sure with a trend that's changing an age-old saying to, there's no place like the office.
There is absolutely no evidence that kids today behave any worse than they did in the last millennium.
Jessica, stand up.
But don't try telling that to Barbara Lewis from Houston.
Jessica is a little bit busy at this point. I mean, she's 3 years old and she is incredibly busy. Jessica, come on now.
Barbara's a widow. And when she's home, there is simply no relief from Jessica.
She does wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, Mommy, talk to me. And she'll raise up my eyelid, to look at me and say, do you see me?
So Barbara has found an increasingly popular solution. Listen.
Work is my refuge.
How's that again? Work is her refuge?
I'll see you later.
You heard it right. With Jessica tucked away at daycare, the drone of traffic into downtown Houston is music to Barbara's ears. She's headed to a place where she's relaxed, appreciated, fulfilled, and happy. And more parents are choosing work over home. Not that they don't love their kids, but this group we gathered from several cities say that work is the only place where they can escape the nagging demands of child rearing. Which is more stressful for you, home or work?
Home.
Home. Would you rather, on the whole, be at home or at work?
At work.
At work.
For Debbie Venny Robinson, who works in the insurance business, that's because no one at work acts like a 5-year-old.
Can you sit straight?
She and her husband, a cardiologist, have a daughter named Maya.
Mom, I said Cat Dog is coming on Nickelodeon. Okay, hon, that's good. Don't you like it? Is it your favorite? Mm-hmm. Mommy, why do you like it so much?
To what extent do you feel as if getting to work is your escape, your relief?
We used to ride into work together, and I remember mornings like, oh, I can't wait to get her out of my car because she is just talking my head off.
Sylvia Korfman and her husband Michael run an internet company outside of Boston.
I would like to have a private place where no one knows where I am, and I didn't care.
And is that private place work now?
Yes, yes.
So that's your place to run from your children, really?
Yes.
But sociologist Arlie Hochschild says in her book, The Time Bind, that staying late at the office can set off a vicious cycle.
Then you go home and your kid is mad at you for being away, makes it a little tougher to come home, and so it makes it a little more tempting to throw yourself into work. And then you come home a little later and the kids still matter.
It's a syndrome Barbara Ashley knows all too well, but still, she willingly works long days.
Time to wake up, sleepyhead.
An attorney and single mom,
wake up.
Barbara begins her day at 5 a.m.
You didn't just give it to me.
That's my schedule.
Both of her children have attention deficit disorder.
Okay.
And getting them to the school bus can feel like a workday by itself.
And plus, she didn't give me no homework.
No curse words.
That was last year, dumbass.
Excuse me? What did I tell you about name calling?
Your little boy was also verbally abusive, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
the day that we were there.
Yes, I have to deal with this a lot. Come on, bus.
Tell me what it does to you.
By the time the bus came, I had a headache. I was sick to my stomach.
What is your feeling when you head to work, finally?
Y'all have a good day. Thank you. Bye. It's a feeling of relief. Like, I can't wait to get to work. Some days I go to depositions and I feel like, oh, thank God, no phone. We have to turn off our cell phones.
You have got to be the only human being in the world who finds a deposition a place of relaxation.
All the folks in our group admitted they feel guilty about not spending enough time with their kids. Still,
does it make you think maybe I should give up the job and spend more time with them?
No.
And no wonder. At work, you can find your peers, grown-ups.
I crave adult conversation. When I go to work, it's like I cannot wait. Why don't you come down and make an order? Call me
And
back.
it's not just adult conversation. More and more companies are taking advantage of many parents' desire to, well, hide out at work with an incredible array of services.
It's right there.
Barbara is an administrative assistant at Enron, an energy company.
I have a tall mocha.
No grubby coffee machine here. Barbara gets the gourmet version, and that's not the only perk.
I need to place an order for a baby gift certificate. Because
she can also order a gift through the company concierge, go to the bank or post office,
Barbara Lewis.
see a doctor, even get free over-the-counter cold medicine. Enron is one of a growing number of American companies who are giving their employees a workplace almost too good to be true. Out in Silicon Valley, Sun Microsystems even lets you bring your dog to work.
And Venus is how old?
Venus is 2.5.
Okay. What's her title?
She is a property beautifier and workplace stress reducer.
You can really get work done with this dog here?
Absolutely. She's very quiet. She'll curl up on the ground. She'll go to sleep. We'll take her out for a few walks. And it's great.
Happy dogs, stress-free workers. Sound like paradise? In a company plant that looks more like a college campus, Sun CEO Scott McNeely says that's the idea.
We need great people, we need them happy, we need them excited, and we've worked very hard to make Sun a fantastic place to work.
You can even bring in the car.
So what's going on with this Jeep?
With the Jeep, what we're going to do is do a tire rotation and also do an oil change.
That's right in the company parking lot while you work. With Americans clocking more work hours than anybody, companies like Sun make it easier.
Is it because it's good for the individuals or because it's good for the company that you're doing these things?
Well, I don't see any difference.
Maybe what you're trying to do is just squeeze a few more hours out of everybody.
Not at all. I just don't buy that at all.
Arlie Hochschild joined us on our tour of Sun Microsystems.
This place is very seductive. It's got a magnet to it. Why wouldn't you want to totally spend your life here?
Hochschild fears that with work becoming more important, the family will suffer.
But doesn't the fact that all these facilities are here give the employee more time to do the things you're talking about?
That is not what the employees are using this free time to do.
Exactly.
Many are simply using it up at the office. In other words, the very definitions of office and family have begun to blur. And Arlie Hochschild says, when the office replaces the home, there's too much to lose.
If you think of this workplace as your home and you get fired from this workplace, you're fired from your life, not just your job.
That's the teapot.
Barbara Lewis certainly appreciates the value of Jessica in her life. But instead of trimming her work hours, she reluctantly admits she wouldn't mind increasing them.
So you resent it when your office is closed?
I can't, yeah. I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, I do.
When 2020 continues.
Hands-free cell phones are just as dangerous as hand.
Ban them too.
Absolutely.
Now, tonight's Give Me a Break about the new laws that ban the use of cell phones while driving. Polls show that most Americans, more than 70%, support these bans, but not our John Stossel. John, what is your problem? The phones are distracting drivers.
Yes, they may distract us, but once you give the safety police the right to ban distractions, there's no end to what they'll do.
The police are out there giving tickets.
Can I see a license, registration, insurance card, please?
In this county in New York, driving with a phone in your hand's already illegal.
The summons for using the cell phone while driving.
Get ready for this to come to your town.
New York State poised to make history banning the use of handheld cell phones.
New York's the first state to act, but now most states are considering bans. In Massachusetts, the ban's being pushed by state legislator Jim Marzilli.
It's because people are driving under the influence of a cell phone.
Under the influence refers to a widely publicized study which claimed cell phone use may be as risky as driving under the influence of alcohol. But is that true? The author of the study told us this news coverage exaggerates the risk. In fact, a AAA survey found many more crashes are caused just by talking or distractions outside the car. 29% versus just 1.5% for cell phone use. So should we ban all distractions? Maybe we should outlaw string bikinis near roads. Look, people do all kinds of things while driving. These commercials are fiction, but they're based on truth. In real life, people fix their hair, put on lipstick, even curl their eyelashes. This woman's reading. He's drinking coffee while talking on the phone. The politicians say you must have two hands on the wheel. But people drive and do other things. We fan ourselves. We eat endlessly. Should we outlaw talking with your hands? How about picking your nose? How long till they're given tickets for that?
The list of things they could ban is endless. Just putting on my sunglasses takes a hand off the wheel. And what about the radio? I'm almost distracted trying to push the tiny buttons to avoid commercials. And with cell phones, they claim these hands-free attachments will solve the problem. Come on, every try to use these earpieces, just trying to get them on is more distracting.
Hands-free cell phones are just as dangerous as hand-armed.
Ban them too.
Absolutely. We need to stop people from using cell phones and other electronic distractions that are now legal and unregulated.
Oh, please, let's ban the busybodies. Car makers keep bringing us new gadgets like navigation systems. All these new features are distracting, but we adjust to them. You can't idiot-proof the world by banning new technology.
So the reason why I stopped you is you're using a handheld phone?
Police should focus on laws we already have against reckless driving, instead of giving tickets to cell phone users like this guy.
All they did is give the cop more right to hassle people.
Right. Give me a break.
I could not disagree with you more. Look, any law, almost any law, can be stretched to absurdity. You wouldn't want a television set in front of somebody in a car, and if you're holding a phone with your right hand and you're dialing and you're talking and so forth, it does make a difference. It can cause accidents.
But so can radios. The AAA surveys said they cause many more accidents. We don't ban them.
One bad thing doesn't deserve another bad thing. I mean, if you could, you know, radios you're listening to, you're not driving with one hand.
But let's not censor new technology. These are good things. Cell phones save lives. Let's not take away everyone's liberty because some people are dumb.
Television sets in front of you is new technology, and you wouldn't have that. You might have that while driving, come to think of it. You might.
Well, maybe the new navigation systems will come on TV sets, or there'll be storm warnings. Who knows what the future will bring?
Whatever it is, you'll be for it, and I'll be against it. Okay, you don't need a cell phone to voice your opinion on this hot topic. Just log on to John's webpage. Don't do it while you're driving at abcnews.com. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well, now a change of plans to tell you about. We were anticipating bringing you my interview with Mariah Carey next week. It would have been her first since a recent emotional breakdown. However, her representative called us yesterday to say that the interview had to be postponed because Mariah, in their words, needs more time to rest. We wish her well, and we look forward to talking with her soon. But next week, we do have two wonderful but very different family stories. I first met the Peisners in 1984 when their 5 children, quintuplets, were adorable toddlers. How time flies. The quintuplets are now 18 years old, and their parents are worried about how to pay for 5 kids going to college all at once. Meet Devin, and Ian, and Shira, and Michael, and Elliot. And talk about times changing, you will also meet 2 gay fathers who have their hands full with 9-month-old triplets, their own biological babies. Take it from me, it's a family for the 21st century. All these kids next week. And now then, Diane Sawyer has a preview of an exclusive interview tomorrow on Primetime Thursday.
We think we know our children. As kids get ready for school again, for the first time, a father goes public to tell the horror, the terror of the secrets of his son and all that he did.
A very moving story. That's tomorrow on Primetime at 10, 9 Central. And that's our program for tonight. We thank you for joining us on our new night. I'm Barbara Walters. I'll see you here again, I hope, next Wednesday. And for all of us at 2020, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Emmy winner Kim Delaney